Hey YouTube, I'm going to start coming at you with game mechanics videos because as someone mentioned in the comments, top Great League and Ultra League and Match League teams are great for a fixed period of time. They're good for a season, but once the moves get updated, some of those top Pokemon and some of the top teams become irrelevant because Pokemon get buffed, Pokemon get nerfed, and so it changes the meta. However, there are game mechanics that have not really changed since the beginning. So we're going to go over fast move. I'm going to go over fast move optimization in this video, but there's also sort of counting and energy management and catching and stuff like that, like tips and strategies for that. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go over fast move optimization. So what is a fast move? What are the different durations of fast move? Does it matter which fast move you use? Why does fast move optimization matter and how does it work? So timestamps below if you would like to look at all those. So what is a fast move? So there's basically two types of moves in the game. There's a fast move and a charge move. So the fast move is basically in the game when you're just tapping the screen. It is generally a less damage move that you can use just an infinite amount of times. These fast moves give you energy. They do damage, but they also give you energy. And the energy you get will give you the ability to throw charge moves. You can have up to 2 charge moves per game, per Pokemon. And those are the circles at the bottom of the screen that will charge up and allow you to use once you've reached the required energy. So what are the different durations of charge moves? Let's just bring this down so you can see the headings here. So you have damage, energy, turn, damage per turn, and energy per turn. And I'm going to explain all of these so you don't need to worry about that. But let's just move this back up. So there are 5 different types of energy durations. So turns, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to go over all those in a second. But what you need to know is that each turn is half a second, is 0.5 seconds. So when you see a lot of damage per second and energy per second, that is assuming a 2-turn move when you get those calculations. So in terms of 1-turn moves, these are half a second moves. Bite, bug bite, cut, dragon breath, fury cutter, lick, lock on, scratch, tackle, and water gun. The ones I think you see the most are dragon breath on your sort of Dragonair, Dragonite, your dragons mostly. You're seeing Lick a lot with Lickitung, and you're seeing Lock On a lot with Registeel. And so I'll go over sort of like what these, like when it comes to, I'll go over like, does it matter which move you use in a second? And I'll talk about these moves in a second. But the 2-turn fast moves are, there's a lot of them, but I'll just kind of go over the main ones you see. Counter, Ember, Fairy Wind, Mud Shot on Swampert, Poison Jab on Nidoqueen, Powder Snow on Frostlass, Rock Throw on Carbink, Shadow Claw on either Ace and Slash, but before it was Trevenant and obviously Sableye. And then Spark for Lantern, and then there is Vine Whip on your grass users, and then there is Wing Attack, which we know got buffed. So that was with Noctowl all the time and Charizard and stuff like that. So those are your 2-turn moves. Your 3-turn moves that you see a lot. Charm is obviously the big one. Double Kick, you're seeing a lot more. Dragon Tail. And then what else are you seeing? Smackdown to a certain extent you're seeing a lot of, and then Snarl I think is probably one of the bigger ones with like Umbreon, and then Water Shuriken as the new move that was given to Greninja. There are some 4s and 5s, Confusions, Gus, no one uses Splash, and Volt Switch as your main 4s, and then Incinerate as your only 5-turn fast move. So the question is, does it matter whether you use a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5-turn move? And the answer is yes and no. So here's, for the most part, why it does not matter. What matters more is for the Pokemon, what is the sort of damage per second and energy per second. Now, like I said, this doesn't actually give you this calculation. There's no damage per second and energy per second here. But what they do is give you a damage per turn. So what you can do is just simply go to this fourth and fifth column and just multiply it by 2, because each turn, as I mentioned, is half a second. So if you just multiply this row by 2, the fourth row by 2, and the fifth row by 2, it will give you the damage per second and the energy per second, and that will give you a good idea how strong it is. But basically, I think there's a couple moves that are just super, super strong that everyone knows about. So the first one is like lock on. What makes Registeel so powerful is that it is a 1 turn move. So, but it is a 5 energy. So once you times it by 2, 10 energy per second. Super quick charging, gets you up to the charge moves very quickly. Counter is sort of one of the broken moves in the game because it has like one of the best energy and damage combos here, having 8 damage, but also getting 7 energy per 1 second there. 2 turn is very, very, very strong combo. And Shadow Claw, same sort of thing, a little less, but 6 damage, but 8 energy. So like when you see if you're seeing in the 2, like a damage per second, energy per second combo that is like 6-8, even Spark got nerfed a bit, but it's still pretty good. 6-7, counter 8-7, like even Ember at 7-6. Like these are like nice, strong, like averages. This is what you kind of want to look for in sort of like a damage and energy combo here. And again, you can't do that. You can't look at these columns for the 3, right? Because this is a 3-turn fast move. This is 1.5. So what you need to do is you need to go over to this column, just multiply these by 2, and they will give you a realistic viewpoint of it, of what is strong. And this is why sort of Dragon Tail is strong with times 2 is at like 8.6 damage and 6 energy. And Geomancy, this new move's like just charges very, very, very fast, right? Because you're getting 8.66 damage per second or energy per second there. And then you go down to the 4-turn moves, or let's say Water Shuriken is still like a 3-turn move. Multiply these by 2, you're getting 4 damage per second with like 9.3, what is it, 9.32 energy per second, right? That's what makes Water Shuriken such a fast charging move, so super strong. So in the end, it does not matter really what fast move you use. It just matters like if does it have a good damage per energy, damage per second, energy per second, and how does your Pokemon use it. When does it matter? You will see that the majority of fast moves used in GBL right now are on the 1 to 2 turn end, right? You have Liquid Lickitung, lock on with Registeel, counter with Medicham, the wing attacks, the Shadow Claws with the Pokemon I mentioned, the wing attacks with the Flyers, the Spark with Lantern, stuff like that. You're getting some 3, but for the most part, you are not seeing 4 and 5 turn fast moves. And that is because when it comes to fast move timing and fast move optimization and catching moves, it is much, much, much harder to do those things with a 3, 4, and 5 turn fast move than it is to do it with 1 and 2. It is much easier to catch. It is much easier to fast move optimize with a 1 and 2 turn fast move and duration than it is to 3 and 4 and 5. And that is why you're seeing a lot of people choose 1 and 2 for fast move. And to give you the absolute biggest example of this, if we look at Dragon Breath is a 1-turn fast move. It has 4 damage per turn and 3 energy per turn. So if you multiply that by 2, Dragon Breath has 8 damage per second and 6 energy per second. If you go down to Dragon Tail is a 3-turn fast move. Dragon Tail, if I can just find it here, there it is. If you times this by 2, you're getting 8.66 damage per second and 6 energy per second. So if you remember, you're getting the same energy per second, but more damage per second. But with that, 98% of people will use Dragon Breath Dragonite as opposed to Dragon Tail Dragonite. So even though on paper you have the same energy and a harder hitting Dragon Tail, the majority of people will use Dragon Breath because it is just so much easier to fast move optimize and catch and do everything with a 1-turn fast move than it is with a 3-turn fast move. And that is the perfect example of why the 1 to 2 turn fast moves are dominating this game. And you're going to see it in fast move optimization. So what is fast move optimization? I'm going to cover my face for all this. Fast move optimization is the process of throwing your fast moves at the proper time to minimize the amount of energy that your opponent is getting. So I'm going to go over this table and explain it very slow and very in depth to understand why it matters and how it works. So on the left side, your fast move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are your turn durations, right? So we got example 1, lick, counter 2, snarl 3, confusion as 4, incinerate as 5, right? Your opponents on the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you throw on the exact lineup here, your opponent is going to get another full turn move. And I'll start with the examples of when you can't do anything about that. In the 2 versus 2, you have counter and they have counter, or you have counter, they have wing attack, whatever. It's a 2-turn fast move. It does not matter when you throw, your opponent is always going to get that extra move through. So how it works in the game mechanics is, let's say you have counter, you both have counter, you're both medis. You both have counter, you get up to 8 counters, you're both at the psychic. If I throw psychic and you decide to throw another counter, you will always get that counter through. And that is an extra 2 turns worth of energy here, right? Because it's a 2-turn fast move. There's nothing you can do about that. You can try to CMP, which is what a lot of people do on those even turn fast moves, but that leaves you open to potential catches, right? So that's a trade-off. So there's nothing you can really do there. What you can do is optimize based on different timing move sets. So 1 versus 2, 2 versus 3, and that's what this table tries to represent. So I'm going to go over all the numbers to explain what they mean. So in the 1 versus 1, there's nothing you can do, right? Doesn't matter when you throw, you're both doing 1-turn fast moves. If you have a 1-turn fast move and your opponent has a 2-turn fast move, what this is saying, so what this 1 is saying is throw 1 of your fast moves, 1 of 1, and then throw your charge moves. So what that's going to do is it's going to throw 1 lick and then your charge move, let's say body slam. That will ensure that your opponent minimizes their energy. So they will only get 1 turn worth of energy. Where you can, and so what this +2 means is it's +2 on the 1. So the next time you are going to throw it is 3, and then 5, and then 7. So basically you are throwing, if you have a 1-turn move and they have a 2-turn move, you're throwing it on odds. You're throwing it on 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. Because if you threw on an even, if you threw on 2 or 4 or 6, your opponent will get a full 2-turn move as opposed to only getting the 1. So that's how you maximize your timing. So your opponent is getting the minimal. So for example, in the 1 versus 3, you will do 2 licks and then throw your charge move while your opponent does a 3, and then doing it 3 later. So basically, let me give you all the examples. If you threw 1 lick and then your opponent has a 3-turn move, you threw 1 lick and then threw the charge move, your opponent would get 2 and 3 turns worth. So they would get 2. If you throw it on 2, like you're supposed to properly do, you would give the 2, throw your charge move, they would only get the 1. If you threw 3 licks and then decided to throw a body slam right on alignment, your opponent would get the full 3 turns of energy. So that is a lot of extra energy for your opponent to get. So that is why this is saying if you have a 1-turn move, if your opponent has 3, you throw it on 2, and then the next time, if you're not doing it on 2, you do it 3 more, aka you throw it on 5. So it's 2, 5, 8. So it's basically only giving your opponent the 1 extra move. 1 versus 4, again, very easy. You throw it on 3. Let's just all do this scenario again, just to make it very obvious. If you threw it on your first one, your opponent's getting 2, 3, and 4 energy worth. So that's 3 extra turns of energy. If you threw 2 licks, 1, 2, and then threw, your opponent will get 3, 4. So 2 extra turns of energy. If you threw it on 3, as you're supposed to do, so 3, and then your opponent only gets the 1, right? 3 to 4 is the 1. If you screwed up and threw it directly on 4, your opponent would get 4 extra energy, right? So you throw it on 4, they would get the full 4 turn, and that is so much energy. So the ones are very, very obvious. If we go to 2 turn fast moves, again, 1 and 2, there's nothing you can do. Like 1 will always be able to, there's no optimization there. There's no optimization on the 2s. On the 3s, there is, and it's just a 1. Because again, I'll do the scenario again for this, but it's very obvious. So if you throw 1, 2, if you throw 2, they only get the 1 extra, right? And then, so the question is, why are they saying 3 here? Why do you do it on 4 next? So let's break that down. They're saying 1 and 4, right? They're saying 1, and then the +3 means the next time you're going to throw it is on the 4th. So let's go over every scenario. If you have a 2-turn move and you throw it on 1, they only get that little extra bit of 1, right? Perfect. Let's say you make a mistake and you throw it on 2. What does that mean? If you throw it on 2, that means 2 plus 2 is 4. Because your opponent has a 3, it means they are throwing their 2 moves. So 3 plus 3 is 6, which means they are getting an extra 2 energy worth, because they're doing your 4 versus their 6, so they're getting an extra 2. If you were to throw it on 3, 2, 4, 6, basically what's going to happen is your opponent's going to go 3, 6, and you're going to be even, and then you throw your charge move, they're going to get a full 3 through. So they will get an extra 3 there. So for a 2-turn fast move against a 3-turn fast move, 1, 4, it's +3. 1, 4, 7, 10. Those are your fast move optimization. In the 2 versus 4, there's not much you can do, but there's only one thing you can do, and that is throw on 2, right? This is in blue because you're giving up. There's nothing you can really do. You can only throw. If you throw it on, you have 2 options. You throw it on your first, 3rd, 5th. So you have options. But it's basically just like even ones. It's odd ones. Don't throw it on even ones. Because if you throw it on even ones, let's say if you do 2 times 2 is 4, and they do 1 is 4. If you throw your charge move, they're going to get a full 4 through. So they're saying, do it on the odd one, right? 1, 3, 5, right? So it'd be 2, 6. No, yeah, 2, 6, 10, because they're going to be 4, 8, and 12. And then if it's a 5-turn move, 2 and 7, because 2 times 2 is 4, so they would only get the 1. And then 7 times 2 is 14, and they would only get the 3 to 15, so that'd be the 1. So that's what that's saying there. And then when you're starting to get moves with your opponent having less moves, so this is the first time that we're seeing where your fast move is higher than your opponent's move, and that is 3 versus a 2. So you kind of need to think of the inverse, right? It is now going to be the odd ones, because so it's 1, you throw it on 1, because that's 3 for you, and 2, it's 4 for them, right? Because they have a 2-turn move. So you throw a 1, they throw 2, that's only 1 difference between 3 and 4. If you mess, and then it says +2, because that is the next time you throw it is 3, 6, 9, because they will only get the extra 1. Don't throw it on evens, because if you throw it on evens, 3 times 2 is 6. There will be an even, and they'll get an extra full 2 through. And same with that. And then on the 3 versus 4, 3 versus 3 is even. There's nothing you can do there. 3 versus 4, let's say throw it on 1, and then +4 is, so 5, 9. So basically you're getting it right up until that 1. So in a 3-turn fast move, you want to get it as close to that 4 as possible. So you do it on 1, because that's 3 versus 4. And you do it on 5, because that is 5 times 3 is 15, and that they would be at 16. So that's the closest you can do to give it the minimal. And then again, 4, there's not much you can do with, like, this is why it's tricky to use 4 and 5 turn fast moves, right? If you have, look at how many options you have in the 1 turn fast move. You have 4 options to maximize, to optimize. In the 2s, you have 3 basically options to maximize. In the 3s, you still even have 3 to optimize, but it's lower than 1. When you get to 4s and 5s, you're starting to have less options to maximize, and you're also giving up a lot of energy here. So in a 4 turn fast move, there's nothing you can do with 1, 2, and 4, right? Those are all just sort of like, they divide into it evenly. But now you have to like try and optimize on the 3s and 5s, which is very difficult for a 4 turn fast move. And the problem is oftentimes you cannot optimize properly. And this is what I'm talking about. If you're in a 4 versus 3, let's say you have a Confusion versus a Snarl. So they're saying for a 3 turn fast move, the optimization is 2, which makes sense because 4 times 2 is 8, and then they'll be at 9. So that's just the 1. But the next time you can do it is at 5, right? So 5 times 4 is 20, and they'll be at 21. The problem is, and it's even more unrealistic in the 5, because they have 1, which, right, 4 versus 5 makes sense. But then they're at 6, aka 24 versus 25. The problem is you will very rarely ever be able to fully optimize 5s and 6s here in the 4s, going to like 20 and 24 before your opponent throws and messes up this timing completely, or you're like already at your max energy. So why 4 and 5 turn moves are really tricky to do is you're never really going to fully maximize your energy. Because if I have a 4 turn move, right, and my opponent has like a 3 turn move or something, they are often going to be able to, what they can do is basically like reset you. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're against an Umbreon. An Umbreon has charged up a ton, and they have 2 foul plays. So basically you throw 1 Confusion, they throw 1 Snarl and optimize and throw a charge move right away, right? So 3 versus 4, smart on them. And they do it again next time around. Throw 1 and throw that. So realistically, you have a lot of energy now. You've done 2, maybe you've done 3 or 4, so you have energy. But if you have, what they're basically saying, telling you to do now is throw it on 2 or 5. Realistically, you can't go to 5 now. You already have too much energy. And you've already taken too much damage, taking 2 charge moves. So realistically, you only have a limited option of going to 2. And that's what makes these moves so tricky. And same thing with like the 5s. There is potential to optimize these, but it's so difficult in practice, because it is very rare that you're starting with a blank slate and just starting on like unless you lead it. Maybe if you lead your 4 turn fast move or 5 turn fast move, then it's easier. Like if you're leading your Galvantula or Charjabug or Incinerate, Talonflame, then it's maybe a bit easier to optimize right off the bat. But it's very difficult if your opponent already has energy and you're coming on a switch in and your timers are doing stuff like that. Like, it's very difficult to actually optimize these moves. So that is why it is possible to do. But that is why the majority of people are using 1, 2, and 3 turn fast move. And that's why even in the Dragon Breath versus Dragon Tail, you're using the 1 turn fast move, because it just is so much easier to optimize, so much more flexibility here. And again, it is much, I didn't even talk, I'll talk about catching I'm going to bring this down now. But I'll talk about catching in another video. If you have a 1 and 2 turn fast move, it's very easy to just throw that move and not get caught in the animation and then like catch. If you're in a 5 turn animation, you oftentimes are very easy to catch on, because if I'm your opponent, I know that you need to either throw that charge move or you need to throw another fast move, and either way I'm aware of that. So if you're at like 100 energy, or if you're close to 100 energy, you need to make a decision to throw your charge move or get caught in your 5 turn animation again. And either way, that is good from my perspective, because I know I can catch, or I can like optimize my fast moves, or I can like bring a Pokemon in while your 5 turn animation is underway, which can allow me to snipe, right? If I know you have to throw a 5-turn fast move, it's very easy for me to like come in and snipe with a Pokemon that has a charge move already while you're stuck in your animation. So that is why a lot of people are not using 4 and 5-turn fast moves. It's just too easy. It's tough for optimization, and it's tough to catch. Like it's tough to catch on, and it's easier to get caught on and stuff like that. So that is fast move optimization, and that is why it matters. You just want to minimize the amount of energy that your opponent is getting. So in terms of, I'll just bring this up one more time and then we'll end this video. So in terms of, if you can, you may not always be able to, and this is when I'll talk about catching, because it's easy to catch on stuff because you may not be able to optimize. I think some are very easy to optimize. Obviously anything with a 1 is easy. I find the 2 versus 3 very easy to optimize, because it's just like throwing it on 1 and 4. So I oftentimes like just build up to like multiple moves, wait for them to throw a charge move, and then I'll throw like 1 2-turn move and then a move while they're stuck in the 3. It's just very easy to optimize like that. And same with like like a 3 versus 4. Anything that's like just 1 short, 1 versus 2, 2 versus 3, 3 versus 4. Anything where it's just like you can throw 1 and then your charge move is probably the easiest for optimization overall. But that is fast moves optimization. It takes practice. So for those of you who've been around my channel, notice that I did not do it for a while. I was just like, whatever, I don't really care, until it was starting to cost me games. And then I was like, okay, I'll start optimizing. And people have commented on my videos like, oh yeah, I can actually see that you are putting the effort into optimizing here, because you are making a substantial, you can see, and it's actually affecting your games. And it is. So this is a skill that you should learn. And I would say this is probably one of the first, because there's like 3 or 4 things that you probably should know to make you a good battler. Like you need to know your typings. Ideally, you need to know counts. I don't count though, so like I'm not sold on this. And then fast move optimization is one, and then we'll get into catching, and we'll get into like optimize like CMP and stuff like that. Like those will be later videos, but there are a lot of different mechanics in this game that you need to know. I think fast move optimization is generally an easy one to do if you do understand the numbers behind it. And it's just the numbers, right? It's just understanding you're not throwing on like exact even numbers with each other, because that will give them full charge moves through, fast moves through. And it's trying to like just minimize, trying as best you can to minimize to 1. You can't always minimize to 1, right? The 2 versus 4, you have to throw on 1, 3, 5. It'll be 2. There's nothing you can do about that. But it's just trying to best maximize where you can. Anyways, I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you want any other types of these videos and what specifically game mechanics you want me to go over. I think these are good for being sort of evergreen videos. Like I said, fast move optimization, stuff like this has not changed since the game came out. The mechanics of the game have not changed much since it has come out, while Pokemon and meta and everything, that shifts. And we'll do those videos, right? We'll do those every single week, but I feel like one of these a week that are evergreen is going to be very good for like the long run growth of players, and it helpful for new people. Anyways, that is it. Hope this was helpful. See you guys in the next one.